Hi, Pete Knight here, and welcome to another episode of Breaking Your Gear. This is one I've been looking forward to actually. A couple of months ago, a discussion popped up on the UK Caving Forum from a chap called Ollie who'd been down to the Filthy Five pitches on the other side of St Valentine's Sump in the bottom of Giant's Hole. He had to go up the fixed rigging because you can't get through the top at the sump at the moment, so he had to go down to the East Canal and come up. As he came up the fixed rigging, he discovered that the metalwork he was hanging from was, we'll call it suboptimal, and let you have a closer look in a minute. So he put some pictures of these online, and I thought, oh, this looks like some good stuff to test. So I chirped up, and he was kind enough to stick 5 of them in the post to me. That's what I've got here to break today. So yeah, they're horror shows really. So let's have a closer look so you can see what we're dealing with. So here we have the 5 maillons that Ollie sent us in. They're all 7mm long pattern, standard Mayon Rapides by the look of it. I've just been down to the kit store to have a look in my bucket of failed kit from inspections, and I found this one. So this is, it's got surface corrosion on it, but there's nothing really pitted, as in most of the metal is still there. It's broadly smooth to the touch, so it's kind of probably likely to be full strength. I've just weighed this, and this comes in at 60 grams. The one that Ollie's cleaned up here, the shinier sample, I weighed that, and that came at 42 grams, so that's lost, not quite a third of its mass, so about a third of the metal has gone from this. You can see just how horrific this is now it's cleaned up, how little metal there is on these bearing points. Even down the back bar there is really thin. Amazingly, this still works and screws up, which is quite impressive. But yeah, certainly if you SRT'd up a pitch and found yourself hanging from a couple of these at the top, you wouldn't be particularly happy about that, I imagine. So here are the other ones as well. So we can see these haven't been cleaned up, but they're similar amounts of wear and rot on them. I'll try the gates with a spanner. Oh, there we go. That one turns. That's going to make it easier to test that one as well. It's similar. Got some fairly good grooves on the ends here where it's been probably swinging around on hanger plates. I'm not exactly sure of the type of anchors these were hanging from. I suspect they were stainless steel hanger plates, which would have led to the kind of more rapid corrosion of these. Again, these have been in situ in the Filthy Five pitches of Giant's Hole for, well, we don't actually know exactly how long they were in place there, but I would imagine a good 20 years or so. But if I find out, I'll post an update. Anyway, yeah, so we'll try the gates with a spanner in a minute, and we'll stick them on the test rig. What I'll do is I'll start by breaking the non-damaged, the non-corrosion damaged one that's come out of the bucket, and use that as a reference, and then we'll see what the others will give us as a comparison. So we're going to start with the reference sample here. So this is a 7mm long maillon. This has come out of my bucket of stuff I've retired on PPE inspections. This isn't one of the samples that has come from Giant's Hole. So this is a 25 kilonewton MBS Mayon Rapide. Surface corrosion, there's nothing particularly pitted on it, so I suspect this should get close to or exceed its stated breaking strength. I'm going to pop the shield on, make sure that no bits of metal fly around. Start the screen capture on the load cell. Okay, here we go. So I've just stopped applying force there for a moment. We are just shy of 30 kilonewtons. Here we go again. Whoa, that was a good one. Okay, shield off. Oh yeah, it's very nice. So that broke at 30.53 kilonewtons. 30.53 kilonewtons. That's quite interesting. I think I might have to go and get the angle grinder or the hacksaw to get that off that chain link. That's a very different shape to how it started, but anyway, that gives us a reference for the tests on the severely corroded ones. So I will cut this off, reset the rig, and be back in a minute. Now this here is sample number 1, and as you can probably see there's a bit of a problem here. So I used the spanner to get the gate unscrewed, about halfway stiffened up, and gave it a bit more force and the whole thing bent. So the level of corrosion on that was actually enough to distort it while it was being unscrewed. So that didn't go in a vice or anything, that was just by hand. So we're not going to get an accurate break off of this one because I can't get those things lined up again to seal it up around the chains. But what we may as well do here is just pull it apart anyway. So with an unscrewed maillon you get a significant strength loss over when it's done up properly. So we may as well just do that anyway on this one. Go. So this was the sample that was probably the least corroded out of all of them. Still pretty horrible. It's taking almost no effort to bend that open. We've got to 2.9 kilonewtons at the highest, but it's dropping rapidly. I think, let's say that one is done. So I'll stop that there. So the peak force that received there was 3.3 kilonewtons, but that's only when the screw jammed up on the chain links there, just as I stopped the test. So yeah, do up your maillons folks, otherwise they are scary weak. And I suppose for context, 3 kilonewtons you could generate with some really kind of gnarly bouncy SRT or SRT rescues for sure, so don't forget to do them up. So this is the second worst one. Like the previous one, I couldn't get the gate all the way undone on this. I didn't want to risk bending another one, so I've just rejigged the tester to pull it between two larger maillons. That shouldn't affect the test in any way. Shield on. Right, here we go. So amazingly, that one broke at 23.2 kilonewtons, despite the significant amount of metal loss due to the corrosion. So it has snapped at one of the ends where it was thinnest, not quite on the end like the reference sample, but certainly at one of the thin spots. There's not a great deal of metal holding that together. This is the third of Ollie's samples from the Filthy 5 pitches. This is where they start to get really gnarly. So this one in particular has got a very deep notch there where it's probably been in contact with the hanger plate. It's not too great down at the other end either. If I had to guess, I'd expect it's probably going to go around where this weakness is, but who knows? That's why we test. So, the shield on. Okay, here we go. Ooh. So that one broke at 23.46, so very similar to the previous one actually. So we've got, it's pulled right open, and yeah, it looks like it broke around the damaged section, or the section with the deep groove in it. Let's try and find the other piece. There we go. Sample number 4 now. This one's really thin down at one end here. There's a lot of metal lost on that. It's still pretty chunky up top, but down at this bottom end it's looking pretty horrible. So this should start to give us some lower results you'd expect. Cool, that one didn't last long. Bend that open. So the gate threads on that failed at just under 7.1 kilonewtons. So this is the first of these maillons to fail in this particular way. So the threads are pulled out. Now the last one, the gate screw was pretty heavily corroded, and I kind of half expected the threads to pull as well. But this one, yeah, the threads up here look okay, but the screws just kind of bananaed open and popped it out, and then it's bent very easily where it's lost all the metal there. Yeah, so not particularly strong, that one, 7 kN. So this is the 5th and last sample from the Filthy 5 pitches. This is the one that Ollie's cleaned up. I just wanted to have a look at this one last time because it's a thing of beauty, and it's almost a shame to break it. So there is a very thin section up at that end. There's a not quite but still very thin section down at the other end. The gate screw is heavily corroded and really quite thin down at the ends where it catches on the thread, and you've also got a significant amount of wear just on the back bar here as well. So where this breaks, I guess, is anyone's guess really, so place your bets. But yeah, this is a cool one, so it'll be interesting to see where this one does in fact go. The gate screw works perfectly though, on the plus side. Yeah. Right, here we go, final one. Oh, good bang. So this one broke at 15.45 kilonewtons. So that's 10 kilonewtons, is a ton off its rated braking strength there. It went at the thinnest point on the top bearing. Screw still works though. If there's a bit missing, no, it just looks like that's opened up there. So I found those tests and the results really interesting. I'm glad Ollie sent me these samples. I'm also very glad they're no longer underground, risk of someone hanging from them. I did actually have to go away and sleep on those results before filming this conclusion, because we had some pretty high numbers, in fact staggeringly high levels of force to break a couple of them, considering the amount of wear and corrosion on them really. So let's just take a moment to reflect on the results and kind of what that might mean for us. The sample that broke at the lowest force was the one that wasn't screwed up. Now it wasn't screwed up because I bent it trying to get the screw open to fit it on the test rig. It wasn't found like that underground, but it did make the point of kind of how weak maillons are when they're not fully screwed up, fully engaged. If we are leaving maillons in situ, we do want to nip them with a spanner. We don't want them to vibrate open or rub open. That is a real risk. 3 kilonewtons is a figure that you could generate doing SRT, so that would have been a risk had it been undone underground. The next one was the one where the threaded screw actually failed. That one broke at just over 7 kilonewtons and then bent open. Now, 7 kilonewtons is not a number that we're going to generate doing SRT. However, that's not going to have taken a great deal more time for that to have corroded further and that screw to completely fail. Now, if that connection between the threads and the screw had fully corroded away, then you'd have been looking at a number very similar to the one that wasn't screwed up in the first place. So a real risk to a caver who was hanging on that. The next one up was the one that had been cleaned up, so it was a bit shinier. So this one broke at 15 kilonewtons. So the MBS of these maillons is 25 kN, so that had lost a ton off of its strength there, a full 10 kilonewtons. So a significant drop. Again, 15 kilonewtons isn't too shabby and still quite surprising for the condition of this. But yeah, significant drop there off what it was rated for. Now the other two samples were the most surprising. They both broke above 23 kilonewtons, so they're only a little below their MBS, and that's despite the significant levels of corrosion on them. Now, arriving at these underground, they'd have been a lot fluffier, a lot more crustier, so it would have been much harder to see the difference in levels of corrosion underground as it was kind of with the samples on the table here after they'd been wire brushed and cleaned. You just don't know what you're going to get if you're hanging on something that's all chewed up and corroded. Yes, some of these samples survive 23 kilonewtons, you know, some of them far less. There's no amount of money in the world you could have paid me to go and hang my life on any of these had I come across them underground, and Ollie was absolutely right to remove these as soon as he saw them. I mean, I guess the lesson here is if you're going to do a project or leave fixed rigging underground, invest in stainless steel. I know it costs more, but it's people's lives. There's some high numbers here, but it wouldn't have been a lot more time before some of these are corroded to the point where they were a real risk to life. So yeah, crowdfund if you have to, join a club, beg, borrow steel, ask your regional caving council for some help, whatever. But yeah, if you need to leave hardware in place for a long time, especially somewhere really damp, make sure it's stainless steel. So we're lucky that no one actually had an accident on these, and it was good that they came out when they were discovered. But yeah, they're horrible, they really are. But some really interesting results, and I'm really pleased I got sent these to pull on the tester. So if you're underground caving or mining and you come across any other horror shows, and well, number one, replace them, but then number two, feel free to send them my way, and if I can get it on the test rig, I'll break it and film it for you. So once again, thank you very much for watching. See ya.